Alright, we are back here for game 2, Satellar Knights versus Shadows. Our hand's not bad. It's pretty monster heavy. I don't think I'm going to use Vegas, so I think I'm just going to summon this first and then thin my deck out by a monster. Excuse my ringtone. I'm in a group text, unfortunately. Alright, that's going to resolve. We had double Altair as well. I mean, this is a pretty solid hand against Shadows. I'd obviously like to see a Floodgate card, but we do have a lot of action, so it's not the worst. We're going to get in for 18. Maybe I actually should upstart Goblin first. I don't think it's gonna matter that much. I thought it was duality for some reason. And well, yeah, I'll set both. No shadow games. I wonder what that means. I wonder what these are. I mean, breakthrough skill is probably pretty reasonable to assume. Maybe emptiness, if he has it. Emptiness is very good against this hand. It's really good against this hand. That's sort of like the one, yeah, that's like kind of like a big weakness with these sort of like, I mean, it's a pretty explosive hand, but like, emptiness does a very good job of making sure people do not explode. That's a very nice out to emptiness as well. Could jam Altair, which is terrible. We do kind of get 2 for 1 though on a torrential. I think we're gonna have to get it out of the way eventually, and this is probably the best spot to do it. And he could just have straight up emptiness. If he has emptiness, I don't even think I'm going to MST it in response. I think I'm just gonna MST a different card, just because we have the Altair in hand already. Chaining. Torrential seems pretty likely. Well, torrential doesn't seem likely. I mean, it's a one of, given that it's limited, so it's not as likely to be there. On Deneb. Okay. I think that's fine with me. Well, I mean, it is fine. I have Altair and Call, so not like hating life about that. I think I'm just gonna try and get in here for 35. I can make Delteros, but making Delteros doesn't seem bad actually. And we would still, even if we were gonna make Delteros, we'd still attack beforehand. Just it's more damage. Like, there's nothing we can really make on our turn that just doesn't get hurt by Breakthrough Skill. We could just not make something. But I do want to get the Deneb in the graveyard as well. Yeah, I could probably make Delteros. Assuming I can use Delteros main phase 2, right, to destroy a card. Target. Okay, yeah. Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. His back rows just could be like artifacts or something crazy. I just don't know. But I think I'm willing to take that chance. He obviously doesn't have warning, so we know this is going to resolve. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. So just to play a little bit tight, I'm gonna use it and then MST in response, so that if he has like Divine Wrath or something, then I'll use it. Yeah. We can still activate our Delteros. So if he says no response, then yeah, I'm gonna chain MST on the light mirror, so then it'll resolve. And yeah, he did have solemn warning. Okay, my opponent has officially confused me. I am like, just, what? I don't really get it. Yeah, that's gonna get warninged. I guess that's a good enough reason. Shadow Fury, yeah. I haven't played against enough Shadows yet, I guess. That's a good enough reason not to use Lateros, but I'm pretty happy I did. He's going to the battle phase? I don't think he can enter the battle phase. Alright, well, let's see what happens. Shadow Mirror, that's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. Okay, so what can we do? There's no shadows that, like, destroy anything except for my back rows, but if if I destroy a dragon, then it's gonna kill it anyways. If I destroy Skomata, it's gonna send something. It can send Falco, I guess, to protect himself, but yeah, I think it's probably worth doing this on. And we will dump off Ukulele. It's Shiny Black Sea, okay. Now, my opponent just didn't do anything. Like, I feel like these all could have stopped things. I'm not gonna use the call just because this is game anyways. And we got there. Alright, so we finished 3-1. Playing against 3 mirror matches in our first 3 matches with Satellar Knights. Went 2-1 in the mirror matches. Sort of lost a game. Lost the only match we lost 2-0 to the mirror match. And game 1 we kind of got outclassed in our draws. And game 2 he drew a good amount of floodgate for us between 2 Stygian Dirges, and I just didn't draw enough removal for it. I think after playing these matches, I think I'm definitely going to try and include more spell and trap hate post, because Stygian Dirge is a real card and it's a pretty popular card. And it's a pretty popular card for the mirror match as well. One card I thought was pretty cool was Wiseman's Chalice, and we played against someone who used that against us. And we actually had a game where we resolved a pretty huge full house, and they almost got back into they were in the game, and they almost came back because of Wiseman's Chalice sort of gaining him a lot of advantage in really keeping him in the game. It's a powerful card, but I mean I'm not a huge fan of it either. It loses to all the same things that Soul Charge and Altair do, and if you get Stygian Dirge while you're under it, then you have to give the monster back to them, and it's a kind of a blowout there. So I'm not a huge fan. I mean, there's a lot of cons to it, but I do like Full House. I think Full House I might just jam a lot of in my side decks just because of Floodgates become super popular between Emptiness, I mean Light Mirror, Stygian Dirge. But yeah, this is the end of the Satellar Knight video series. I'm a huge fan of the deck. I think it's really good, and I think it's a very it's definitely like the most consistent deck out of all the decks I've played so far. It's even though it's like it seems it's the most consistent deck, it does some very powerful things as well. I mean, it reminds me a bit of Geargia because Geargia was like seen as sort of a fairish deck. I never considered Geargia a fairish deck. It is like, but when it had 3 Geargia gears, I mean that was just the most like Geargia gear is like one of the most insane cards. Like it is very powerful, and the deck is very powerful. That's why it wins. It's not because it's a fair deck or anything like that. I don't think fair decks really exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Every single deck sort of has its own way of just going off. And this deck probably exemplifies that the least, but it sort of spreads out its impactful cards across, everything, between having a ton of traps and having some of the most powerful floaters in, all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, there's a Wolf Bark, that works whenever it's special summon, that searches for that special summons a Stratos, that can search for your other Wolf Bark. I mean, this deck is probably just straight up better than the +1 Fire Fist deck that was very popular in the format leading up to last format. But yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the deck. For my next video, for my next segment, I'm either gonna try and use Battery Men. I know it's really weird, but it's also I think it's a pretty good deck. Or I'm gonna use Burning Abyss. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.